Hello, listeners. Good morning. Today I'm back with the Hourglass written by Tracy Rees, and I'm your unknown reader. Now we are going to read a new chapter that is Chloe. Yesterday we talked about the first chapter that was Nora, the main character, and it's about her health and all, how he felt when he was diagnosed and all, everything, how she will basically tell her mother. And yes, now next chapter is Chloe, and really I also don't know what it's about and who is Chloe. I'm also excited to know, so let's read. Chloe, July 1953. Joy has a color and it's bright blue like this summer sky, cried Chloe, spinning around, her face tilted up to the sun, her palms outstretched, her new plaited skirt, mint green and grey check, lifted about her legs and spun with her. It wasn't new really. She'd inherited it from Margaret Matthews, who was 17 now and gone away to Swansea. But it was new to her and quite the most grown-up piece of clothing she possessed. Her mother said maybe she should save it for best, but Chloe could think of no best that could better this. The start of her annual summer holiday to Tenby. The very name filled her with elation. It smacked of adventure, of endless sunny days on the beaches, of romance and hidden treasure. She would see her glamorous Aunt Susan and her Uncle Harry, as they were calling him now. She would see her cousin Megan and Richard, who were 16 and 18. Their ages alone conferred upon Chloe a vicious glamour that she wore like new clothes when she went home. She would see Mr. Walters in the ice cream shop and Mrs. Isaacs in the paper shop. She would go to the Fountains Cafe and the Picture House and the caves and the bandstand, and above all, she would see Lou. Chloe Samuels, you stop the drilling now. The repressive voice of Auntie Bran cut across her spirals. Enough to make the cat dizzy, you are. Come and sit down, nice now. What would your mom say? Chloe did not retort that there was no cat, since they were waiting at the bus stop in Carmarthen. The very mention of her mother's was enough to turn her happiness to homesickness. Before she had even left the country, her parents had put her on the bus in Nantes, and 15 miles later in Carmarthen. Here was Auntie Branwen to meet her off it and make sure she make sure she caught the 10 by bus. Oh, mom, dad, she thought, how can I leave you for 3 whole weeks? Chloe and Auntie Bran subsided into side by side silence. Auntie Bran was satisfied that by invoking Chloe's mother, she had effectively quashed her 13-year-old niece. But the truth was that Gwenon was as excited as anyone about Chloe's holiday. If she had been here, she would have been twiddling too. She had packed her daughter's suitcase, layering tissue paper between the worn jumpers, skirts, and blouses as carefully as if they were the finest Persian silks. There was nothing Gwenon would not do for the happiness of her firstborn child and only daughter, but she and her husband, Dav, had little to give, so they made do with this, parting with Chloe for 3 weeks every summer so she could have the time of her life in Tenby. The red Tenby bus arrived in a puff of dust and a crunch of wheels. Chloe's aunt swung the battered brown case, another Margaret Matthews cast off, up the steps and gave Chloe a quick, sharp kiss on the cheek. She stepped back as the bus ground into motion again, and then, without a wave or further glance, she trudged away. That is Chloe. The three sisters was completely different, thought Chloe, watching her aunt stump off down the road. Brenwyn, the eldest, had never married and lived alone in her little cottage in Blue Street. This situation might have lent itself to all kinds of fun and adventures, had not Auntie Bran been the kind of person who chased away fun and adventure with a stiff broom, pale and unbeautiful, with eyebrows that sprouted where eyebrows really had no business to go. Auntie Bran, it was safe to say, was Chloe's least favorite. Then there was Suzanne, the middle child, a designation that seemed to imply all sorts when Chloe heard it muttered among the neighbors. She was tall, rather glamorous, and had almost gone to university. In fact, Chloe had not known she even had an Auntie Susan until 4 years ago. There had been some sort of family feud during the war, when Chloe was a little one. But in 1950, Auntie Susan had mended fences. She wrote to Gwenon, the softer hearted of her sisters, saying it was a new decade, they should put the past behind them. She wrote that she was settled in by now and that if Gwenon was happy for Chloe to visit, they would look after her very well. Gwenon, the youngest of the sisters, was Chloe's mother. But no, Chloe loved her mother so much, and it was too soon in her holiday to be able to think of her without crying. It would be worse tonight, she knew, when she spent her first night in the camp bed at the foot of Cousin Megan's bed. Then she would remember her mother's worried expressions as she checked and checked that Chloe had everything she needed. Such love, a parting even for just a holiday, made such love a double-edged sword. But tomorrow she would wake to the screaming of girls and the promise of long, sunlit day of liberty. The days would pass and Chloe would be happy, writing home in installments, posting the letter once a week. The heart would ease. She knew well the pattern of the days now, for this was to be her fourth summer holiday with the other branch of the family, the post branch. And this would be the best holiday yet because she was 13, and that meant her stomach turned over just thinking about it. That this year, for the very first time, she, Chloe Samuels, could attend the 10 by Teen summer dance. How could a person stand this much excitement and life? Forcing herself to sit still, she dug in her coat pocket for a gobstopper. Enjoy now, carry it. Enjoy every minute. The memory of Gwen's kind, lovely voice made Chloe miss her mother all the more. So she thought about Lou instead. Chloe had met Lou that first summer in 10 by 3 long years ago now, and he was her best friend in all the world. Of course, she didn't say that to Pathin Hills, who was her best friend in Nantar. She didn't want to hurt anyone's feeling, but Liu was special. He was 2 years younger than Chloe, the same age as her brother, Clark. If he had been anyone else, Chloe would have considered him a child. But he had an old soul, Auntie Susan said, not necessarily meaning it as a compliment. Chloe agreed, though. She could see it in his grainy, browny, yellowy eyes, and when he talked, she felt as if she were with someone older, not younger. He was as tall as she was too, and everyone knew boys grew slower than girls. Then again, Chloe had never been tall. She followed her mother like that. She worried she would ended up stout like her too. No sign of that yet, though. Chloe was as slender as Daisy Stamp. Liu thought a lot and read poetry. Chloe teased him for this, but secretly she was impressed. He was going to be a famous photographer when he grew up and take pictures of all the famous people of the day, the actors and the actresses, the writers and dancers and inventors. He was never seen without his box brownie slung around his skinny neck. He was completely unafraid to accost fishermen, holiday makers, life boatmen, usherettes at the picture house and ask them to do this, that, or the older that he thought would make an interesting photograph. Even when Red Sam, the lobster man, roared at him and chased him off, Liu was undaunted. Red Sam scared Chloe with his hands and feet like Unwell's, the drinker's complexion that gave him his name, and his beard thick as blackberry bush, but Lou danced away over the rocks and laughed at him. Red Sam was a dramatic exception, though more often than not people seemed flattered or at least amused. The Lou got his picture. Occasionally they swore at him and told him he would be a waster when he grew up, like his old man. Chloe couldn't have borne, being rejected but like that, but Lou only shrugged. They will be sorry one day, he always said. They will be begging me to take their picture, but they won't be able to afford me. Lou would take Chloe's picture in the future, he said, because she was going to be beautiful. He said it quite matter of factly, the way you might say that a ladybird has spots or a butterfly has wings, but Chloe was thrilled. He was the first person besides her mother ever to say so, and she badly wanted to be beautiful because then, when she grew up, men would fall in love with her and she would have a magical life. Chloe was determined to have a magical life. Everyone has actually. It was hard in Nantar to imagine how that could ever happen. Not that Chloe didn't love her home. She did. She adored her parents, tolerant, tol- tolerated her brothers better than she let on. She would never ever admit that she loved them, and she couldn't imagine surviving for any length of time without waking up to the sight of the mist writhing the brain. But Nantar was a village. She knew everyone in it, and if there was greatness in her, no one there was going to see it, apart from maybe her mom. To everyone else, she was just the Samuel's girl, too flighty by half, but pretty enough little thing, if only she filled out a bit. As for men, besides her brothers, the village boasted only 12 boys close to her in age, even allowing for great improvements in their looks and manners when they grew. Chloe couldn't see herself falling in love with a single one of them. They were unimaginative souls, dense as lumps of coal, whereas Chloe wanted, well, in truth, she didn't know what she wanted, and that was part of the problem with Nantar. Apart from the piano teacher and the church caretaker, both of whom were spinsters, a word that caused Chloe to shiver, all the women were mothers, wives. They kept house, they did laundry, they didn't present a wide range of options for Chloe to choose from. An excited chant rose from the children on the bus, rousing her from her reflections. 1 by, 2 by, 3 by, 4 by, 5 by, 6 by, 7 by, 8 by, 9 by, 10 by. They hollered, voices rising with every count before collapsing in gales of giddy laughter. Some of the old people tooted, others smiled indulgently. Chloe raised her eyebrows as Megan might have done. In previous years, she had joined in, but she was a 10 by teen now. She need to be childish like the little ones. It wasn't that she didn't want to get married and have children. It was just that she didn't want to do it non-doll style. She didn't want to wrap herself up in an old penny 6 days a week and wear a patch dress to church on Sunday. Then hurry home to cook a massive roast with all the trimmings while her family snored by the fire. She wanted something else as well. It was only in 10 by that she glimpsed alternative ways of arranging things. Aunt Suzanne, for example, had a husband and children, but she wore beautiful clothes from her London days. She frequently lunched with female friends and spent a great deal of time gazing at the sea, tapping her cigarette holder against her teeth and painting her nails a gorgeous holy berry red. Chloe felt that if she had nail polish and pretty things to wear and time go to giggle with friends, she could be happy. Her own mother had none of these things, yet Gwenan was always happy and Chloe couldn't think why. The only person she could talk to about such things was Lou, and he said that there were as many different ways to be happy as there were people in the world or pebbles on the beach. How do you know? She had demanded, looking at him askance. You're 10. But whatever he was right or wrong, Chloe liked the thought of finding her own way to be happy. She didn't want to be like her mother, nor quite like Auntie Suzanne, and she certainly didn't want to be like Auntie Bran. So she would just have to blaze a new trail. One thing she knew for sure, if there was magic to be found anywhere in the small, ordinary life of Chloe Samuels, Tenby was where she would find it. That's all for today. Chapter is over, and I'm your unknown reader, and what I'm reading is the Hourglass novel written by Tracy Rees. So please don't like, subscribe, and share, and also comment if there is any improvement you want. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a good day and have a nice weekend.